Resident Evil Veronica confirms terrifying change to games and zombies. Resident Evil Code Veronica is already one of the toughest games in the series. Capcom has teased a new zombie behaviour in a long-awaited remake of Resident Evil Code Veronica, and it sounds already terrifying. One of the things I loved about Resident Evil Requiem, which is one of my favourite games of the year so far, was that the zombies actually had personality. It could be hit or miss for some people, sure, absolutely. And yeah, some people might have questions surrounding the idea of, the zombies having personalities in Requiem, because how all of a sudden they just have personalities, like out of the blue, whereas in the other games they didn't, and in the other games they didn't have weapons or didn't know how to use weapons. But hey, for the most part, I enjoyed it, so, I welcome new changes when it comes to zombie games and fresh ideas for zombie behaviour in the Resident Evil games. Originally released on the Sega Dreamcast in 2000, Resident Evil Code Veronica is already considered to be one of the most challenging games in Capcom's iconic survival horror series. I never played Resident Evil Veronica, but I've heard good things about it, and from what I've seen so far, people are really excited about this remake. When it comes to claustrophobic areas, challenging enemies, and limited resources, the game starring Claire and Chris Redfield takes the Resident Evil crown. However, after this recent Capcom tease, it looks like the upcoming remake could get a whole lot tougher. Following months of rumours, Capcom finally revealed the Resident Evil Code Veronica remake, not only catching a buzz for those in attendance at the Summer Games Fest, but also for those millions of fans watching at home. Any good remake should build upon what made the original game successful. Yeah, completely agree. Otherwise, what's the point of doing a remake? For example, in the fantastic Resident Evil remake in 2002, on the Nintendo GameCube, not only did we get new enemies and expanded lore, but we also got new areas. Following its Summer Games Fest reveal, the Resident Evil Code Veronica looks to follow suit. In the reveal trailer, we saw Claire Redfield in Paris, which is actually a new idea brought to the remake. In terms of new enemies, or more accurately new enemy behaviours, Capcom has just teased something quite exciting. And the reveal trailer did feature Hunk, so that's new to the remake too. Zombies of Rockford Island tweeted the official Resident Evil account. Prisoners and guards who have been infected with the T-virus, they tend to move in hordes, unlike the more isolated zombies seen during the Raccoon City incident. In previous Resident Evil games, while zombies and other infected creatures can attack in large groups, the word horde had never really sprang to mind. The definition of a horde is large, unorganised and overwhelming. It reminds you a little bit of Days Gone, if you guys have played that game. There was a quest where you had to basically defeat a bunch of hordes, and that was quite challenging itself. Fantastic game, very underrated. Capcom never teased anything else about the new zombie behaviours, but the reason why we might see large zombie hordes in the Resident Evil Code Veronica remake, and not in the most recent Resident Evil Requiem, which is roughly a 28-year gap, could be due to the virus strain. In the original Resident Evil, it's the T-virus. Resident Evil 2, the T-virus and G-virus. There's a lot of viruses in these games, I can't keep up. I've only started playing the games from 7 onwards. So I played 7, then Resident Evil 2 Remake, and then Resident Evil 3 Remake, and then eventually Resident Evil Village, and then, obviously Requiem. And the T-virus in Resident Evil 3. As for Requiem, it's a mutation of the T-virus. The point being, those viruses are different to the one in Resident Evil Code Veronica, with that being the T-Veronica virus. Could this version of the virus explain the hordes, and is something that is being explored further in the upcoming remake? Only time will tell, but we can't wait to find out. For those of you who have played the original Resident Evil Code Veronica, what are your thoughts on the remake? Are you excited about the remake? Are you sort of apprehensive about the remake? What other Resident Evil games would you like to see be remade in the near future? Please share your thoughts down below. Until next time, take care, stay safe, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye for now.